Warning. The B3F podcast may contain language or subject matter that may not be suitable for kids. You've been fucking warned. Check out some friends of the show. The Two Brothers Podcast. The Trevor Jackson Podcast. Dem Jackson Boys. The Dumbass Dudes Podcast. Pop Culture Warrior. Happened in the 90s Podcast. Follow at The Andy Harris on Twitter. Go to our website at b3fpodcast.com for merch. Click on Tell Us What You Really Think to leave a completely anonymous review of each of us.
Oh, yeah, just some sick suckers and I like that.
Enjoy the show, you cunts.
All right, so a little bit different show this week. I know you've heard me talk before about this thing I do every other Sunday with André and from Juxtaposition Debate, and then Easy, also from Juxtaposition Debate, Roxanne from JXP, and Big T from I Can't Make This Up podcast. But we do a show called Something for the Weekend live every other Sunday. And so I wanted to release this week's episode that I just finished recording with them right now and put that out so you guys can kind of hear a little bit of that. It's a bit of a different episode because Easy was sick, wasn't allowed to be on there with us this week. And we strayed off topic toward the end, but we have a good time and people tune in. So I just wanted to put this out there so you guys can kind of hear this and tune in. It's every other Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, U.S. So without further droning on about something, this has been a crazy week for me, and so I'll go over this next week. So here is something for the weekend. Goodbye.
Hello. Some of you may know me. I was recently asked by two idiots to say a few words on their behalf. So, here goes. They're raw, unrefined, definitely rough around the edges. Apparently, they're all you're gonna need for the next 2 hours. Really?
Welcome back, everyone, to Something for the Weekend. Yes, that's right. It's your man, Big T, doing the intro today, and we're back like we never left. We're here to bring you a show where we talk about a little bit of everything, life, love, arguments, and all that stuff that's in between. We're going to bring you back. We're going to bring you back and hopefully make your Father's Day a better day than the day before. Welcome to Something for the Weekend. Welcome back, everybody. It's Something for the Weekend. I am your host, Big T, and I'm going to say what's up to Joey. How you doing, Joey?
I am all right. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm feeling fine like grapevine. How about yourself?
Yeah. Been a long couple of weeks for me, but I'm glad to be back here after about a 4-week rest. So
Yes, 4 week rest. So we're here to give everyone the best. How about you, Andre?
Yeah, things are pretty good with me. Yeah, as you said, like Joey said, feels like it's been a while, but yeah, great to be back.
Hey, Roxanne.
Hiya! I'm glad to be back. Be missing you guys.
Oh yeah, I definitely miss you guys as well. And I can't forget about the fifth host of the show, the audience. Glad to see you guys coming in and showing some love. Faux show, faux show. So I don't know about you guys, but I got some views from the news, and I think this one is very interesting. And Joey, you might have heard about this, and you guys over in the UK might not have, but came across a story I thought was interesting, petty, and funny at the same time. Uh, there was an elephant in Houston that trampled a woman to death. Not really sure why they had beef, but of course, elephants aren't exactly the friendliest animals in the world if you aggravate them. But apparently, he decided to finish the job when he came to her funeral and trample her corpse. Yeah, that's right. I can't make this up. And in Houston, Texas. I'm, you gotta stop laughing, Joey.
I'm sorry. It's just so funny.
The lady's name was Maya Murmu, and she was apparently a trainer, 68 years old, and somehow things got out of hand. And during the exercise with the elephant, and apparently she ended up getting trampled. She was rushed to the hospital, but due to her life-threatening injury, she ended up dying from them. And a week later, at the ceremony, which I believe, which was about 5 miles away from the place where the incident happened, they decided to bring all the animals in from the zoo where she worked at as part of the celebration. Like they kind of did like a I want to say like a walkthrough, but a presentation, and somehow that same elephant ended up getting loose and stampeding through the crowd, ended up crushing her casket and her corpse as it ran through. It is it escaped into the woods, and it took the police 13 hours to track it down and corral it back into uh, I guess its cage. And now they're thinking that maybe the lady was doing something that the elephant didn't like in the night hours, and it decided to fight back for the first time.
That's what I was gonna say. It must have been a female elephant, and she thought that trainer was spending too much time with her man. Because women will do that. They'll beat you up and kill you, and then come to your funeral and do it again.
So why did he have to add in the night hours? He was doing something she shouldn't have been doing in the night hours. That just leads us in the direction right there.
Well, it didn't give the sex of the elephant, but I mean that's awfully aggressive. You know what I mean? And then you don't exactly hear about daytime assaults. You know what I mean? So I could only assume that could be the case. Now, it could have been an argument that it could have been an abusive relationship, whether they were platonic or not. I'm not sure, but obviously there was some bad blood, and I guess the elephant didn't want to put up with her shit anymore, and it just decided to get her out the way.
Oh God.
Did Bobby say trunk size matters?
Yes.
Very good, brother. Very good.
I don't know. Maybe she had a bigger elephant before, and she was talking about it, and it got to his ego, and it just crushed him. You know what I mean? It's just like I don't know. It's so many questions that she can't answer anymore. That I think would be,
Elephant had flashbacks, man. Elephant had flashbacks at the funeral.
Oh man, I don't know. Andre, you got anything?
Yeah, but are we bad for laughing at that? It feels like we should really.
No, it's
Okay,
funny.
okay,
It's
okay.
yeah, no, it's funny.
Yeah, I feel better. I was worried just for a second. All right. So this one, I'll just read it out. No heading. When Julie Young was asked by her best friend to babysit her Boston Terrier, she was happy to oblige, as he would. However, whilst washing the dishes in the kitchen, she was alarmed to hear scuffling in the other room and what appeared to sound like a baby whimpering. She went to investigate, only to find the dog had pinned down Pebbles, her Persian cat, and was attempting to have sex with her. She said, he looked up, our eyes met, and he froze. Then he scampered off, leaving my poor Pebbles frozen in the same position, apparently unable to move. It was quite clear to me that he knew what he had done was wrong, and that's why he ran away. I have since taken Pebbles to a pet psychiatrist who has confirmed she is traumatized. She no longer comes to me for cuddles, tries to bite me when I stroke her, and I've not heard her purr since the episode. I know that this may sound ridiculous to some, but Pebbles' character has definitely changed since the incident. Julie is now taking her friend to court and is seeking damages for her cat's suffering and reimbursement for ongoing psychiatrist bills. So I find it interesting, and I just want to know what's everyone's thoughts on that. Is that? I mean, I know Joey's got a dog. Is that normal? Is that a known thing?
What, for a dog to try and hump?
A cat, yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay, so what about this whole thing about having a pet psychiatrist? No, and taking the woman to court. Do you think she's got a case? That's the question right there. Does she got a case? All you listeners out there who are cat lovers, does this woman have a case?
I mean, I can't remember if you said this or not, but where was this at?
This was so she's babysitting someone else's dog, so it's at her house.
Yeah, but I mean, was this in the U.S.? Was this in another?
Yeah. This is You got to know.
That's why I was. That's why I was asking. Pet psychiatrist doesn't sound like it. Sounds like a U.S. thing. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, pets have feelings too, man.
Yeah, sure. I mean, my dog definitely gets her feelings hurt, but I've no way in hell I'd pay for her to go to a pet psychiatrist. So,
can dogs get cats pregnant?
I don't think so, but who knows?
I don't think the objective of the dog was to try to get the cat pregnant. Though. I don't think you had that in mind. He was probably just
was it a female cat?
Yeah. It was a female. Yeah, Pebbles was a female cat. Yes.
Could have been trying to just establish dominance. That's what they do. I mean, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because dogs just don't. Male dogs just don't hump female dogs. So they'll poke anything. From what I've seen. So I don't know. As far as the whole psychiatrist thing, that's somebody who like really loves their cat, you know what I mean? Or their pet, period. You know what I mean? So
traumatized. So you don't think she's got a case then? You think,
I mean, in the US, yes, she probably does have a case, especially if it's in California or New York. But I mean, I just can't. I would feel embarrassed if I decided to sue somebody for something like that. That's insane.
When it comes to the U.S., anything is possible. A lady just won a lawsuit against, I think it was Toyota, because she caught an STD in her car. It was claimed to be the safest vehicle on the road, and that
was her defense. Get out of here, man. That's just a little joke, John. Get out of here. You PA yourself.
Good Lord. It looks like we lost Andre. I mean, he's right. I mean, if it's something crazy, it's got to be the U.S. and I have this thing here is that if there's something real crazy in the U.S. that I hear, it's got to be coming from Florida, unless it has to do with like pet psychology. Then it's probably California because I mean they're I don't know, the heat's getting to them out there or something. I don't know.
I thought because I know you got a dog and you love your dog, I thought you might have been a little bit more sympathetic, but obviously not.
No, not at all. No, I mean, I'm not one to spend frivolous money on animals. So, Oh Lord. Well, I've got an article here while whatever's going on with T gets squared away. So, Carmen Mola is a popular Spanish novelist, and let's see here. This says sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. So, during an event to award the country's prestigious Planeta Literary Prize, the famed but reclusive crime novelist Carmen Mola was actually revealed to be the creation of 3 male writers. Antonio Mercero, Augustin Martinez, and Jorge Diaz not only created a series of highly successful novels in Mora's name, but also invented the author herself. Just to go to show you that if you want to have a women's award, men will win it first. I mean, didn't Caitlyn Jenner win Female of the Year?
Yeah.
So,
That's
so I figured
craziness.
on Father's Day, popular Spanish female writer is actually 3 men. Which you could make the argument that it took 3 men to do one woman's
I like
writing, but I don't choose to look at it that way.
How embarrassing once they found out. So I wonder how they found out. So only did the guys just come out and
they just came out and say, it says let's see here.
Love it.
Let's see here. They won the prize for a novel called The Beast, but she's best known for some crime stuff. Inspector Elena Blanco series, and let's see here. She had been called the Spanish Elena Ferrante, a reference to the pseudonym of a highly popular Italian author behind My Brilliant Friend and some other novels. But the 3 guys decided it was time to come clean, that Mola was not even real herself.
All right. They've been doing that for some time then. All right.
Yeah. In 4 years, it says that they said they were 3 friends who 4 years ago decided to combine their talent to tell a story. And so they invented the writer and wrote the stories. So, yeah.
Maybe that was the only way they can get their story out because,
strength in numbers, men.
They wasn't getting enough respect as writers as men. So they had to build a persona in order to, not be, I guess, shut down or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. So, of course, the big question is, if they hadn't done that, would they have ever won anything? And I'm guessing there's a good chance the answer would be no, they wouldn't have.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a female collegiate swimmer here in the U.S. I can't remember her name, but she's the number 1 ranked female swimmer in the United States. Just so happens that she just recently transitioned from being a man to a woman, and before she transitioned to being a woman, she was like the number 400 something male swimmer, transitioned to being a woman, and became the number 1 female swimmer. So
I love it. Jay says, and it just so happens. Just so happens.
Just so happens.
Oh, dear. Yeah.
I mean, there's all types of women in history who have, disguised themselves as men in order to do certain jobs. So
Mrs. Doubtfire, for example.
Even though it wasn't for a job, it was technically it was for his job, but the purpose was for him to be closer to his children. So a father will do anything for his kids, even dress up as a 80-something-year-old lady and do a TV show or whatever. Sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's plenty of examples.
I think that Milan, that was one.
White chick, was it Joanna Man?
I don't know Joanna Man. Which one?
It was a basketball thing. What was it? What was the one with the teenage actress where she was playing soccer, dressed as a boy?
Amanda Bynes.
Amanda Bynes was the actress. Yeah. So.
She joined the all boys school to get on their soccer team because she was too rough for the girls team or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
But this is the other way around now. So this is the other way around. So how many instances are there of men who have I don't know, it's one thing dressing as a woman, but taking another step when you become a woman or attempt to become a woman.
There was a movie that came out, and it did horrible in the theaters, I believe, of this white guy who pretended to be a black female radio host, and he was doing like a real stereotypical version of a black lady, and her name was like Shaniqua or something like that. Man, and it was like a big uproar like when the trailer came out, and I don't even think it went into more than like 10 or 15 theaters, but the writers thought this was going to be a smash hit, and you could just tell it was just a garbage idea. But there has been situations where films like that have come out and been successful. You know what I'm saying? But it was just, I guess,
That's
it was the
interesting.
intention behind it.
Yeah, that's interesting because obviously they, as Joey said, the film is it White Chicks where the black guy is dressed up as white women, and that was a hit. So it's interesting that was a hit, but when it was the other way around, we weren't having it.
Us white guys, we just can't get ahead. There's so I mean, a real life incident was, look at Rachel Dolezal, white woman that portrayed herself as a black woman and became the leader of the NAACP chapter in her area. I mean, how there wasn't more made of that, I don't understand. So.
Yeah.
But my daughter told me recently, and I'm not saying she believes this, but she told me recently, she said, nowadays you're viewed as whatever race it is you look like. So like my 3 kids are all different shades of whatever, Gabe's been on here before. And my daughter is my youngest son, who's the middle child, is the whitest of the group. And what my daughter was saying is like he would be considered white because he looks like a white guy. Society and in general, people just say, well, it doesn't matter if your birth certificate says that you're black, you're white. And that's an interesting, ridiculous, in my opinion, way to look at things. I mean, you look at what's the boxer's name? Canelo Alvarez just looks like a white redheaded guy, but he's, fully Latin from Mexico guy. But, if he didn't have that accent, you'd believe he was from Boston probably, So,
Yeah, that's definitely how you look plays a big part. I
think it does at first, but now I think she's saying nowadays is like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he tells everybody. What his birth certificate says doesn't matter. You present as white, you're white, and that's the end of it. Yeah. Like it's I don't know. That's a strange thing to me. So
if you have a mixed family, I mean, can you? How do you? Put that as far as like, racially. Well, I mean, that's kind of difficult to. Well, I mean, just from my aspect.
Yeah, well, used to the option on like job application stuff, there was no biracial option, or there and there wasn't the thing where like check all that apply. Like legally, on an application, like I could go in and I can check white and I can check Native American. Like legally, I can check that. I have a tribal card. I'm accepted by a tribe in the U.S. Like I can check that. I don't typically do that because I don't want to seem like I'm trying to play the card. But
at some stage we're gonna have to discuss that. Joey's got a Native American card.
Yeah, I do. I can remind me ahead of time next time. I'll bring it. I've got it in a drawer in my room. I'll bring it down here and show it on camera. But also used to the law was if whatever the percentage was, I don't remember what the number was, but if you were a percentage of black, your birth certificate, you had no choice in it. Your birth certificate said black. So like all 3 of my kids, the varying degrees of whiteness and blackness, all their birth certificates say that they're black. My wife who's mixed is the same way, but nowadays it's kind of, I think you can choose your race almost. Like if my kids are born now, we could decide whether we wanted to say black, white, or both, or whatever combination of them. So it's to me, it's an indictment on the way the United States government looked at things back in the day. It was like, hey, if you got any black in you, you are not white, and that's a crazy thing to me. It's insane. It's an insane thing to me to think that that anyone was ever like that. Not just the government, but that anyone was ever that way. So,
for sure.
Anyway, well, things got serious quick. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
on this of all holidays, Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth to everyone.
Oh yeah, it's nothing. Juneteenth. What is that exactly? Celebration of? That's a new holiday, isn't it?
It's not a new
holiday.
It's just newly recognized by the government. Yeah.
Yeah, it's newly recognized by the government. It's actually in celebration of the day that African Americans were actually free from slavery. I mean, they were free prior, but this is when they actually all got notified and everything, and it became official. And this is the day to celebrate. So it wasn't voiced until I could really say the newest generation started speaking up about it and saying how it should be recognized as a national holiday. Henceforth, everything that happened during 2020 really, got the ball rolling on it, and that's when it really, actually became official, if I'm not mistaken.
So when you say official, before, so it wasn't a holiday before then?
It wasn't nationally celebrated. Or it wasn't, like Joey said, it wasn't nationally recognized by the government. It was celebrated, but it wasn't nationally recognized.
Yeah.
Okay. So was it a day of work? Was it a national day of work?
It is now. Well, for some companies.
So before it wasn't a national day of work then before?
No.
So it is a new holiday then?
Yeah. I'm off work tomorrow and I get paid for it because my company celebrates Juneteenth now.
And my company sucks. So
Oh, your company doesn't celebrate it? I'm lost. If it's national holiday, I thought then everybody would celebrate it. I thought it'd be like a law thing. Everyone has a day off. No?
No.
Nah, not every company, because my company's independent. So, they make up the rules as they go.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But, speaking of holidays, we're actually here to talk about a particular one that I feel as though isn't really up there when it comes to everything else. And according to a holiday ranking, I'm gonna read off exactly what I have. According to March 2022 on Wiki, in the United States, top 10 holidays. Rank number 1, Christmas. Rank number 2, Thanksgiving. Rank number 3, Mother's Day. Rank number 4, Easter. Rank number 5, 4th of July. Rank number 6, Halloween. And rank number 7, Father's Day.
I'm really surprised that Father's Day came before Valentine's Day. Honestly, I really am surprised.
Rank number 8 is Valentine's Day, surprisingly. Rank number 9, St. Patrick's Day, and rank number 10 is New Year's. So you mean to tell me all this stuff comes before Father's Day? Are we serious right now? Like, is Father's Day as important as Mother's Day? That's the question for the day, and I want to get everyone's opinion on that. Starting with you, Joey.
I mean, in reality, no, it's not as important. I mean, I guess I should say in recognition, no, it's not as important as Mother's Day. But in reality, is it? Yeah, probably. It probably is as important. It's not celebrated the same way. I mean, we took off for Mother. We didn't do this show on Mother's Day, right? But we're doing it on Father's Day.
Joey beat me to it. I was going to say the same thing, man.
Churches in the South, they don't do church service on the night of Mother's Day, but they're going to do church service on the night of Father's Day because you father should be leading by example, bringing your family to church. So that's. But I'll let you answer, Andre, but then I've got something else to throw out there.
Well, again, your original question, is Father's Day as important? I think Joey said probably it's got to be, isn't it? I mean,
It is as important. It's just not celebrated like it is.
Yeah. Again, I guess we've only got people like ourselves to blame because, as you said, Joey, Mother's Day, we cancelled the show for Mother's Day. Father's Day, here we are. So maybe we should have stood our ground and said, it's Father's Day, no, that's too important. We can't do a show today. But no, here we are.
How about you, Roxanne?
Yes, of course, I agree that Mother's Day is more important, but it's not. No,
you agree Mother's Day is more? You say more? No, you got a cross line here. Did you say you agree Mother's Day is more important than?
That's what she said. That's what I heard.
It's not just me. It's those people that make the money. Mother's Day makes money. People have to go out there and spend on expensive presents. So it's capitalism. It's not me per se. It's the world. It's people that want to make money out of it.
Oh, okay.
Do you think in reality it's that Mother's Day, and I shouldn't say, do you think if you take that out of it, in reality of importance, do you think Mother's Day is more important than Father's Day?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I got a question for you, Roxanne. Did you receive a gift for Mother's Day?
I do. Yeah, I do for the kids. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And hubby. Yeah, I think that I get big presents, and it comes from the whole family.
Oh, okay. Joey, as a father, did you receive a gift for Father's Day?
I got up this morning. I cooked my own breakfast, and when my daughter woke up, she sent her dog upstairs with a note attached to him that said, "Happy Father's Day from her and Happy Father's Day from him." And my wife actually came up to me, and jokingly, she did this jokingly, but she came up to me and she said, "Happy Juneteenth, honey." And then she
I love that.
I do too. That's one of the things I love about her. And then she laughed and she said, "Happy Father's Day." But my boys texted me. My youngest son is here. So my wife had some gift ideas, but they were all things that she needed to discuss with me first, to make sure what I was going to like, because I don't like money being spent on me. So anyway,
that's right.
No, it's not. That's not a sweet thing. It's a damaged childhood thing. I don't like money being spent on me. Like I can find better things to do with that money than spending on myself.
Like
putting in a new air conditioner this weekend. We spent a lot. We spent a lot of money. Big T, you missed it. We talked before the show, and my air conditioner went out last week, and we had to have a brand new unit put in yesterday, and that is not cheap. That is not cheap. So,
trust me, I know. It took me about $9,000 to replace mine a couple years back.
It was 7,600 for us.
Yeah, 3 floors. Need a 2-ton unit for that, plus the outside condenser.
Wow, you guys got a hell of a markup up there, because ours was a 5-ton unit here. So
yeah, well, my house was built back in the 50s, so
that makes sense then. Yeah.
So Andre, did you receive a gift for Father's Day?
Well, and the short answer is no. That's the short answer.
It's coming, baby.
So yeah, my kids, they all wish me happy Father's Day. Even got a call from my daughter who's away at uni. But I'm still waiting for my present. I'm sure that they've got something that they're just waiting until I think that it's nothing going to happen, and then they're going to jump up and hand me this beautiful big Father's Day present. But as yet, nothing.
Okay, so in my experience, I've never heard of a mother having to wait for her gift for Mother's Day, but the fathers usually have to wait, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I'll probably get mine around my birthday. I'll probably get a Father's Day present around it. Yeah.
I think that we, as the men, we should be able to hold on. I guess we don't really have the I don't know, urgency to be I guess celebrated or showered with gifts like that. So that's why it's not a real big deal. But it still kind of, answers the question, which is more important. And or, is it as important? And I guess it depends on to who. Because if you're a single father, and let's say it just a particular situation where the mother might no longer be living, you might still celebrate it, but it wouldn't be as important as Father's Day because that's who you have around. So I guess it all depends on who you are and what that person means to you, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. I guess you could ask the question: why is it so important? Dare I say? Why is it so important to not to celebrate Women's Day, but for Mother's Day? But
let me stop you right there. Not Women's Day, Andre. Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Mother's Day. It's not all women.
I did correct myself before you jumped in.
Okay.
Yeah, I did correct myself. But we all know that the important role that mothers play. I'm just not sure why it has to be celebrated every year, and if nothing was purchased, why would that be? I'm sure there'd be an uproar, but I'm just not sure why.
You think?
Yeah. I mean, whether it's a Mother's Day or not, we all know that women do, or many mothers do, a great job and an important role. And you could argue that you shouldn't have to have a Mother's Day to celebrate.
Right. That I agree.
Okay, then that's the route I'll take then.
No. I don't agree with the fact that you have to buy an expensive present. I mean, I've got my kids have made me like, I don't know, like one of them made me like a little paper plate with a little tissue, like tissue. That's what they made for me. So I appreciate that more than an expensive good. Yeah, it's nice to get an expensive gift, but the things that the kids have made, I appreciate that just as much. So it's not about spending money, but yeah, I think you should have a day that you say, yeah, Mum, I'm thinking about you, love you, and this is what you mean to me. Yeah.
And you think that should be more important than the children celebrating and saying to their father, "This is for you, Dad. We love you. We appreciate you."
Yes. You've asked me that question several times, and it's still the same answer. Yes, because as a mother, I'm the one that. As a mother, I'm the one that's given my. The damage that having a child does to a woman's body can never be fixed. Can never but it is to carry a child for 9 months. It wreaks havoc on a woman's body. You guys don't have that.
Yeah, okay.
You guys have all the fun.
All right, yeah, I have to admit, I've seen what women go through, and if there's anything, it's hard to argue that fact that you've got to respect any woman who you see and have a child. It's hard to, even though I want to say something, it's hard to argue that.
You guys couldn't have babies. That's why you haven't been given the task, because you couldn't do it.
Hey, easy. There are plenty of pregnant men out there now.
That's true. That's true. But I mean, the world shows its gratitude by putting things like flowers on sale, candies go on sale, cards go on sale.
Yeah,
restaurants have Mother Day sales, clothing stores, pretty much every place that has something that is marketable goes on sale. But when Father's Day comes around, it's usually just like power tools and certain electronics and something that kids will want to buy because they can play with their fathers. But you don't hear about a Father's Day special going on at Red Lobster or nothing like that. Maybe the liquor store. You know,
Yeah.
there aren't a bunch of vendors on the street setting up baskets for Father's Day. They set them up for Mother's Day. So if you really think about it, no matter how much we will want to believe that it's true, I don't think it is as important as Mother's Day. And the world shows us every year around this time, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, that's just my thoughts on it. Maybe you might see it different, but that's the way I see it.
Well, even Valentine's Day is more celebrated than Father's Day. I mean, and that's more, the Valentine's Day was created by the, greeting card companies because, men have to spend money on the women. So it's just the way it is. I mean,
That's true. What you said about Valentine's card, Big T, because I've got here something that I read, and it says in my daughter's school, they made Father's Days shaped like toolboxes. On Mother's Day, I gave my wife a card shaped like a dishwasher, and 3 years later, she still brings it up.
Yeah.
So again, the whole school, they think it's okay to make Father's Day shaped in toolboxes, but yeah, you try and do something like that on Mother's Day.
There's one thing I could say though, is my daughter has always went out of her way to make sure that I feel special on Father's Day. She will handwrite me letters every couple of years about what my relationship with her means to her and things like that. It really does. She's one of the only people that can bring me to tears. And she did that last year. She wrote a long letter about what our relationship means to her and what seeing me and my wife together means to her and things like that. And so, I make jokes and things like that, but my daughter's always gone out of her way. My wife always says Happy Mother's Day, but I do feel like as a whole, it is not nearly as important, at least in society, as Mother's Day is. So
I thought you were going to say that your daughter hand washed your clothes or something like that.
No. She will handwrite. Instead of texting it to me or emailing it to me, she'll handwrite a letter. And it's a beautiful thing, man. So my kids it really is. So I have some information here that says the strengths of a father's presence. Children with involved fathers have a strong foundation for child well-being, and they are at a lower risk for a host of poor childhood outcomes like low birth weight, emotional and behavioral problems, obesity, poor school performance, lower risk of teen pregnancy, lower risk of incarceration, lower risk of alcohol and substance abuse, criminal activity, and a lower risk of suicide.
Yeah. I don't think anyone can argue that. It doesn't surprise me in the slightest. So again, underrated, man. Unsung heroes. That's what we are.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I believe, not as a father, but I'm an uncle to 15, so I get the sentiment exactly. And yet, there's no National Uncles Day. We are unsung heroes that take up the mantle especially when you got kids' fathers who aren't there for them, and the uncles take up that mantle and step in, even though that's not not necessarily their responsibility, but the title that all family has. But I tell you one thing I find interesting: you don't hear about a lot of conflict on Father's Day, but on Mother's Day, if you Google Mother's Day fights, man, it goes back decades, man. Like people just throwing down on Mother's Day, and I don't know if it's necessarily about the price or the fact that everyone's wants to be in the same place at the same time, but I find that kind of funny. It's usually quiet and calm on Father's Day, but on Mother's Day, it's all types of rage and incidences going on. I don't know about you guys, but I've witnessed a couple fights at a restaurant on Mother's Day years back. How about you?
I've never witnessed a fight on Mother's Day that I can recall, but Father's Day, I agree, is definitely laid back. I mean, for me, my wife said, "What do you want to do today?" I said, "I just want to chill. I'm recording. The race is starting in 17 minutes, and I'm recording it so that as soon as we're done here, we can go upstairs and watch the race. And that's maybe I'll grill out later, But other than that, I'm going to sit and get all my money's worth out of this new air conditioner and enjoy it.
Yeah, like Joey, I can't think of any any Mother's Day fights that I've seen, but I think guys on Father's Day, they really just want to little bit kick back and do as little as possible and be allowed to watch what they want to watch on TV and stuff like that.
Yeah, just say Sandra Wilson says, women, we're unique and just awesome.
So, all right, hold on just a second. I got something because I saw that comment. Who are you unique to, Sandra? That's what I want to know. Who are you unique to? That's what I want to know. Unique to what? To men? What?
Men,
It must be.
So then, okay. Well, if common sense and science tells us there are two genders and women are unique to men, then doesn't that mean men are unique as well?
Of course. Of course. It's one of those comments, though, isn't it? Where it's a lovely comment, but I guess, a man could say the exact same thing.
Yeah. But we don't, do we? You don't see us out here commenting on somebody's show. Men are awesome. Men are unique. There's nothing like us.
Hey, Joey, what's understood ain't got to be explained, man. I'm just saying.
Here's another. Men die at a younger age. We're more likely to die by suicide. We're more likely to be incarcerated, and we're more likely to be the breadwinner of a household. Now, whether that's societal or not, who cares? That's just the fact.
For sure.
I don't know. I think it's kind of crazy because men and women can be envious of each other, but the women are the only ones who really comment on it, or at least announce it. Men can think it, but they don't announce it all the time. They can point it out without making it, obvious. Not that I'm saying that that's all that women do. It's just something that I've noticed. Like you hear guys talk about it'd be nice if someone could take me out and not expect anything, but that doesn't happen. It's usually the other way around because of how chivalry works. So are we truly equal in that sense?
Oh, if we're going to take the conversation on that level, I mean, it could be so many things. I mean, I hear all the time when they talk about there's no real men out there and real men this, real men that. But I don't really hear a lot of guys talking about real women. Women are women. I mean, just talking about real women just sounds divisive. It doesn't sound right. But
nowadays, you can't ask if a woman's a real woman or not. you may not get the answer you want.
For sure. But yeah, it's always just talking about real men.
But you should definitely, make that obvious so there isn't a incident or a flare up due to that. And it shouldn't be a problem if a guy asks that, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, are you, were you born a female?
Oh yeah. No, I didn't even mean in that respect. I mean,
no, I know you didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm just talking about generally when you hear a lot of this talk about what a real man is supposed to be and he's not a real man. There's not a lot of real men out there and all those things. But I don't hear a lot of guys talk about, a real woman and she's not a real woman and what a real woman is like. I don't hear that's something that seems to be more what women will say towards men.
That's because generally men can't speak on things of that nature. Like if they do, they're beat down, but a woman is allowed to. Yeah.
That's so funny.
So a woman can tell you what you are and what you're supposed to be. But if a man does that, who the hell is he to say what a woman is supposed to do and make that happen? It's like, how are we equal? How is it that you can have a voice but I can't on the subject of you, but then it's flipped when it's on the subject of me? Like, you gotta pick a battle or at least admit that the game is rigged. You know what I mean?
Admit that the game is rigged. But yeah,
I mean, honestly though, I mean, if you think about like, just if you pay attention to certain social media outlets, women did always get the short end of the stick And as of the last, 40 years or so, things have changed aggressively due to, rights being changed and ordinance being changed and things of that nature. And they're being more recognized for their achievements, and that's commendable, and it should be that way. But you still have those instances to where, regardless to what a man does, it's always, he should. But when you say she should, it's a problem. So, where does the balance come? That's the real question.
I concur. I saw Bobby
I was
made
going
a comment.
yeah, I was going to say, Bobby Whittaker says, "What is a real woman? They have social freedom to be whatever, with no definition of what a woman should be."
Yeah. So again, if we now ask the question, is what's a real man? Is it something similar? I think it's something totally different to be a real man.
So if that's the case, from a man perspective, the fact that he doesn't state what a real man is, but a woman does that mean that one think they're, one's inferior opposed to the other?
I guess the big question would be, do women and men have the same idea on what a real man is? Because we normally hear what women think a real man should be. Don't often to hear what a man thinks a real man should be. I'm not sure if the two even match up.
I don't know. I can't call it. I mean, honestly, for me personally, no one can tell me who I'm supposed to be as a man. For me, I'm who I'm supposed to be for the people around me and the people who look up to me. What's meant for the next person is meant for them, whatever, title they may reign, whatever responsibilities falls under their belt. And I think that a lot of people like to, push their own issues out there and wants society to fall in line with their thoughts and views opposed to what's best for them. And that's not always the case, because what works in your household may not work in mine. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're doing it wrong and you're doing it right. It's just to each his own.
So that's different. So what you're saying is whatever they say, you know who you are, but that doesn't stop women from stating what a real man is. All that happens is that you don't subscribe to it. You don't necessarily subscribe to it. You, in your own mind, and myself, and probably many men as well, they already have their views of what a real man is. But that does not stop the rhetoric from being put out there of what a real man should be.
Yeah. What say you, Joey?
It's hard to say. I mean, I can remember being young in my late teens and even early 20s. I didn't want to be called a man because it felt like there was too much responsibility at that point. Now, maybe that was just immaturity, not wanting to grow up. I don't know, but I definitely agree that, a man, if a man tried to stand up and tell a woman what a real woman is, that probably wouldn't turn out very well. You definitely see some of those fights that you're talking about on Mother's Day, but it's hard to define what a real man is. I mean, I've had the conversation with my wife just in general about what does she consider masculine, and what does she, would she consider feminine in a man or whatever. I know we came up on the subject of like a man wearing like tights or leggings, whatever you want to call it, out in public or to work out, whatever. And I was like, if you're a man and you're comfortable doing that, then more power to you. But I don't consider that a manly thing. Like, it's not to say men need to wear jeans and collared shirt all the time or whatever, but wearing leggings to the gym only, and when I say only, I mean no shorts over it. I understand compression pants and you got gym shorts over it. I mean, some of the basketball players do that and whatever, that's fine. But if I can see every wrinkle and every crack and crevice on your body with what you're wearing out in public, that's not a very manly look. So I got no problem defining those kinds of things. But if you're comfortable with it, then more power to you. But just know that I judge you.
but hold on, so what are you saying then? Are you saying what? That's a womanly look?
It is definitely a more feminine thing.
Okay.
Bobby Whittaker gives a definition of real man. He says, real men are defined by the ability to provide. Some people might agree with that.
But so and I think that probably to a large extent is what a lot of women would probably agree with. That what can you bring to the table? No, so when I say provide, doesn't mean I don't mean when he says provide, it doesn't mean what can you bring to the table?
And but not all women.
Of course. No, not all women.
So how would you define a real man, Roxanne?
A real man, for me, would be someone that shows me love and respect in a relationship. If he hasn't got a lot of money, okay, it might cause a problem. Because money, you can't live without money. But it's not. I don't define that as being a real man.
What did you define that as? If you can't provide money?
There are men that are out there that are working and not bringing home a lot of money. I'm not going to look at that and thinking, oh, he's less of a man because he's not bringing in enough money. So that's. Do you want to say something? Let's say it. Go on, come on.
I think that that if a man is unable to provide for his family, he is going to have problems keeping that family together. In other words, he's going to have problems staying with that woman. If that woman is someone who is providing, she's working and she's earning a good money, and you meet and together you have a dream of reaching a certain goal, and then for whatever reason you are unable to keep your end of the bargain. Now, unless you've got a damn good reason, then I think that will only hold for a period of time before that woman you're no longer reaching the expectations. And I think that will cause a big problem in a lot of relationships.
So what about when you flip it? So you're saying then, right? So with us, when I was working part-time, right? And you were the main breadwinner. So did you love me any less because I wasn't bringing in as much money compared to you?
A little bit less.
No, but that's the thing, though. If I think it depends, because I mean, my wife used to make more money than I did, but we're relatively close to the same amount. But I definitely I see what Andre's saying there. I mean, if a man's really not making a lot of money, I do think in most cases, obviously not all, but in most cases, it's going to be harder to keep that woman unless you have like Andre said, a damn good reason why you're not making that kind of money. But
or you're striving to, and even if you're striving to, at some stage you've got to get to some level, because if a woman's making a lot of money, then she's going to have certain goals and dreams, and then as a guy you're supposed to help that woman to achieve those dreams. But if you are unable to provide, then not only you're not helping her, there comes a stage where she will feel that you're actually hindering her.
Yes, I agree with that. But the whole reason I asked the question, Roxanne, is because what would you, Andre or T, what would you do if I said define a woman? What would you say?
Well, again, so for me, it's different. Like Roxanne just asked a question. Of course, like if you're earning less money, again in our society, that is normally to be expected, or was, maybe not so much now. But I don't think it means as much to a man if a woman earns less than it does for a woman. And again, that's probably because of society and how we're brought up. And even though, we talk about equality and all those things, I think to a large extent, women still expect men to, at the very least, hold their own. And when I say hold their own, I mean match what the woman has. That's what I mean by hold their own. So an independent woman doesn't really or necessarily need you to buy things for her and stuff like that. But at the very least, you should be able to hold your own. So if I want to go to a place, or if she wants to go to a place of a certain level, at the very least, you should be able to go with her, and if need be, pay and stuff like that. If not, then yes, I think after a while it starts to feel like you're just being held back. Whereas guys, I don't think have that.
No, I don't agree, because you could flip the roles. If the woman is earning more and the guy's earning less.
For a lot of guys, that helps their ego. I think for a lot of guys, that helps to show that they're the man, and they're okay with that. They're okay with that.
So it's the man's problem then.
No, it's a woman. So it's a man's problem if he's not earning the money. It's definitely going to be his problem.
I was just asking the question because I think you'd be hard pressed to find a man that would try to define what a real woman is. But just going back to something we were saying earlier, but
it's
quite easy to find a woman that will define what a man should be.
Yeah, Joey, if I was to answer your question, I would say one, we're on air. Two, all women are greats.
That's a question we should try to answer here, to be honest.
Okay. Okay. I say we do that right after the break. So when we come back, we'll answer that question. How do we define women? Right after this.
Great stuff.
I don't see a commercial yet, so I'll just talk until the commercial pops up. So,
yeah. So, like I was saying, how I define women are nurturers and life bringers. They also the balance to most men's lives, in my particular opinion. So, not every woman has that innate quality, but that's generally what you're going to get from a woman, in my opinion.
All right. So let's go to break and then continue this.
All right.
All right.
Welcome back, everybody, from Something for the Weekend. And we're going to get right back onto this question. How would you define a woman? I believe, Joey, you were saying.
You just throw me right in. Oh, man, I gotta, you'll have to give me a little liquid courage. No, I mean, I think I'm gonna sound like I'm pandering, but I think my wife is a great example of what a woman is or should strive for. Honestly, I mean, she's nurturing to the kids. She's nurturing to me. She's stuck around with my dumb ass for 22 and a half years now. So, I think T, you said nurturing, but also independent is a big thing, because I saw, I had a mom that once my parents divorced, she chose to stay home and not work and take care of the kids, but that meant we did without, even though my dad spent time with us and took care of us and paid child support on time every month. And sometimes he paid more than what was required to pay for us, to pay my mom, that is. But we did without a lot because my mom refused to work so she could, I guess, stay home and be around us more. But I also then saw a stepmom, and her identity was wrapped up in my dad. I mean, her license plate said Mrs. RBM for a long time, which is like, that's, my wife always said, that's so weird. It's like she doesn't have her own identity. And and that's one of the things I love about my wife is she has her own identity, and so I think women, a real woman knows her own identity and is nurturing and can take care of herself, doesn't need a man, but still, or doesn't need a partner, period, man or woman, doesn't need a partner, but still in a lot of cases wants to have someone to share their life with. So I'm sure if I really sat and thought for a long time about it, I could do more. I could say more than that, but that's how I would kind of define it for me.
A way to keep that Father's Day gift coming, Joey. I see what you're doing.
My wife doesn't watch or listen to this. So.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I don't really have anything special or anything to really add to that. I think nurturing is important, but I really find this whole idea of saying like what's a real woman very, very strange, because I mean,
sure,
that means what? If a woman isn't nurturing, what about a woman who for whatever reason doesn't want to have children? Does that mean she's not a real woman? I just don't think that the terms they do anything but separate. I mean, what's a real man? What's a real woman? I just believe that there are men that are maybe constructive and some that are not so constructive. There's women that are good at certain things, are good at being partners with men, and maybe women that will be more independent and may not want to take the road that we think a woman should take, i.e., as I said, having kids. I just don't think that means she is any less of a woman. So just like, I don't think a guy who maybe is unemployed or doesn't know how to put wallpaper up necessarily means that he's less of a man. There may be other qualities that he has. I just don't think that that there's anything constructive by using those terms, real men and real women.
You know what I've seen? I just thought about that. I think is funny how uncomfortable we were answering that question, but how women are so comfortable answering that question about men.
Yeah, that's the reason I asked it to start with.
Yeah. But yeah, and that is very interesting, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought men are meant to be in control and running the world, but yeah, when it came to the basic question, we all ducked and dived and and was a little apprehensive in our answers.
I think we've been conditioned to think that way, not exactly from a place of fear, but a place of caution. You know what I mean?
I think you had it right when you said fear. I think you got it right.
Okay, so something else that piqued my interest when you were talking, Joey, how you mentioned your mother, making that sacrifice to be a stay-at-home mom to, raise you and your siblings. It made me think about the question, do women sacrifice more than men do?
I think in a lot of cases, especially 40 years ago when my mom was having kids, for sure. But just to clarify, I don't think my mom sacrificed to stay home and raise us. I think my mom didn't want to go to work. No, I didn't. I wasn't saying. I'm glad you guys are laughing at my pain. I wasn't. No, that's fine. I wasn't saying that to be funny. Like, I legitimately think my wife. I think there was a part of it was she wanted to be home for us, but I think a big part of it was she didn't want to work, and I think she probably knew she could rely on my dad to pay his child support and then some. Because there's a lot of times that my dad paid the child support and put a little bit extra in there because he knew my mom didn't work.
Yeah, I think if we stop arguing about who had it worse, we could see that that men and women are in the same boat. We're just a chromosome away from being the same person. So everyone doesn't get that. It's always about what you got versus what they got and stuff like that. And of
Sure.
course, that's what makes the world what it is. If everyone was the same, it would be a boring gray mess, in my opinion. So I'm glad for the differences, but it sucks when things become unfair due to bias or whatever. And a lot of biases come from how people view, their standings in relationships. And I'm gonna trickle that into the next question we have for the day. Is social media ruining relationships? And I have very strong opinions on this, but I'm gonna let Andre speak first.
Sorry, Andre. Before you, I just wanted to do a shout out to No More Streets. He's got an awful lot to say, or he had an awful lot to say, but they were just too long stuff to read out. So I'm just thanking him for his inputs, basically.
Thank you.
All
I
right.
appreciate that.
No more streets. Okay. Yeah. Social media ruining relationships. I have to admit, I'm not sure if it's ruining relationships. I mean, I know that you've got apps now where young guys are telling me that they can line up relationships to a dance before they even get there. So I know I know a lot of our generation are saying, that doesn't work. What happened to meeting someone and risking being turned down and chatting to someone? But it's still the same thing. They can line someone up at a club. They know that at the club, they go there. They still, once they find them, they still have to meet and have a chat with them and get to know them. So I guess, like most things, social media is now just a different way of doing things. There was a time when if you met someone on the internet, or if you were looking to meet someone on the internet, that was frowned on or laughed at or whatever. I'm assuming now it's more or less classed as okay to do. But years from now, social media will probably be taken over by something else, and social media will be the norm way to meet people, and it will be the normal way that people, or just another way that people interact in relationships, and it won't be seen as anything negative. Like everything else, though, I mean, it's like the internet itself. Is the internet a good or a bad thing? I mean, like everything else, there's always bad aspects to certain things, but no, on the whole, I can't say that social media is ruining relationships now.
How about you, Joey? I mean, I'm pretty sure that social media isn't something you use for, dating purposes or nothing like that, but
No.
you see it just like, we see it.
No, I mean, I think that it ruins weak relationships for sure.
In what way?
I just think if you don't have a strong relationship, then the ability to get in touch. I mean, social media has made the world such a small place that you have the ability to get in touch with any number of people of the opposite sex or same sex, if that's your flavor. Then that if you don't have a strong relationship, that ability really makes it easy to kind of at least stray digitally, or an emotional affair, or whatever you want to call it. So I definitely think that ability, and because we feel like, I think in general society feels like a lot of that stuff, those interactions, the DMs or whatever, are private. So I do think if you don't have a strong relationship, that social media would ruin your relationship. But if you have a successful and strong relationship with trust, then no, I don't think social media plays a part in it, because I think that's throughout history. If you had a good, strong relationship, not much would ruin it, short of the man not making enough money.
Let's sit that one in. But same thing you could say. You said that if your relationship's weak, then social media could ruin the relationship. But the chances are, if you had a weak relationship and you weren't on social media, the chances are something else would ruin that relationship.
Well, sure, but the question is, does social media ruin relationships? And I think just because if you didn't have social media, your relationship would be ruined, doesn't mean social media isn't ruining it. I mean,
Well, you could argue then if that's the case, then social media didn't really ruin that relationship already. The relationship was already ruined.
I don't know. I know plenty of people that have had issues on social media that ended in a breakup or divorce.
All right.
So
Yeah.
I guess maybe to clarify, social media makes it much easier and quicker way for relationships to end.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, in my opinion, social media isn't the reason that relationships get ruined because a lot of people aren't using it correctly. Social media is a tool. It isn't an outlet. It isn't a personal diary. It is a tool used for information sharing, marketing, outreach, things like that. But people like to do stuff like post their every thought, their desire, their location, their, recent shopping spree, stuff like that. I seen a video of a guy who a girl was recording him as he was leaving her house. He, I guess, followed her or whatever and watched her for a while as she posted how she went through a bad breakup with her ex. She detailed it in videos, what he did wrong, what she wanted from a guy, what she would like, things like that. And he used that to build a character of a guy that she would like. He got her to like him back. They went out, they had sex, and then he left. And she asked why he did that, and he said, "You told me what you wanted every day on social media. I got that. I got what I wanted, then I left." So when you have dirt bags like that who want to just use people, you give them access to your mind by posting all your thoughts, feelings, aggravations, frustrations, and wants and needs like that, like it's your personal journal for the world to see. And Joey, you mentioned privacy earlier. There are people who screenshot private messages and screen record conversations every day. This isn't the time period for privacy. You got people recording jail phone conversations and putting it on social media.
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean?
And I agree with you. That's the point I was trying to make. Is I think a lot of people feel like it's private, but it's not, and it always ends up coming to light. Which I'm a believer of that. If you're screwing around, it's going to eventually come out. But so let's think about ruining a relationship from a different perspective then for a minute. Maybe it's not ending relationships, but now that we have so much social media, I mean, I read a statistic that says, hold on a minute, I just had it pulled up here. It says the average person uses social media for 2 hours and 27 minutes every day. So you're digitally interacting with people in one way or another for 2 hours and 2.5 hours every day. I think that social media is ruining relationships before the relationship even starts because people are slowly forgetting or not even learning now, if you're younger, how to interact with people in person. And if you're going to be in a relationship, you're going to have to eventually interact in person. And I think it's dooming those relationships from the start.
Yeah, I can agree on that, especially if you don't even know how to hold a conversation.
Yeah.
I've been duped into believing a persona online, was who, well, not necessarily the persona, but the aesthetics of that person was who they really was. And then the next morning, when the makeup disappeared, I cocked my fist back because I didn't know who was laying next to me. I'm like, hold on.
See, you didn't ask if it was a real woman or not.
No. I did have a particular situation that we could talk about offline, but it was crazy. But to bring up that point, I remember one time I was sitting at a bar, having a conversation with a friend of mine's, and a young lady next to her overheard her talking about, the situation with her boyfriend or the guy she was dealing with at the time. And she said, what's his what's his Instagram name? And she told him, and this girl he looked it up and was able to track all the people that he followed and like made comments on page of. And she ended up finding out that, he was in a whole nother relationship with a girl just by following his page. Of course, it wasn't private or anything, but she did that much of a deep dive in a 15-minute span that she was able to figure out that he was in a whole nother relationship. They had picked like the girl's page that he was seeing. They had pictures together. She was pregnant and all this other stuff. And the girl I knew was unaware of this. And that was, 15 minutes. Imagine if she had a couple of hours, you know what I'm saying? Or if she like did this every day because of that tool, like it's supposed to be, like I defined in the beginning of this, she was able to, dig up and fix that girl's problem and answer those questions she had. Technically, that wasn't a stable relationship, but it wasn't social media's fault. It was, the guy's fault because he shouldn't have been with her in the first place if he was going to, be like that. You know what I'm saying? It's all types of situations where, a girl or a guy might say, I don't have social media, and they're dating someone who does use it. So they use that to mask who they really are. You know what I mean? But the whole time they could be a whole different life. This isn't like the 50s where you can pack up and change your name to Smith John when you used to be John Smith. And now, you can do that. Saying these days you can be tracked if you have a social media presence. So it all depends on, how you're using it, how it could affect your relationship, in my opinion.
So you're saying what? So the social media, that didn't ruin his relationship. That just got him caught. Because, there's people who, even before social media, who would be doing a similar thing. They just wouldn't be doing it online. So, and again, some of those guys would get caught, some of them wouldn't. So to my mind, social media is just another avenue that probably allows those people who would probably play around. This just gives them another avenue to do it. If there wasn't social media, I don't think that means they wouldn't be messing around. They would just be doing it in another fashion, i.e. going out and meeting people in that way. And who knows, it might be harder to get caught that way. But just because they didn't get caught, that doesn't necessarily mean that their relationship's great. So again,
I mean, in a sense, if social media didn't exist, that girl became the private detective that woman would hire to follow her husband. That's essentially what happened. Except she didn't pay, and it didn't take a couple of days of following her to figure out something because of that instant access, because of all that stuff that he put on his social media. Right. So, to me, that's the same thing. I mean, the private detective would have been a tool she used to figure out the information that she needed answered. So, I mean, that's essentially what happened.
So, again, me being from the UK, even though you guys probably wouldn't agree, is that along the same lines of asking something like, do guns ruin lives? I know you guys in America, guns don't ruin lives. People ruin lives. Fucking guns ruin lives, man.
But the big difference is guns don't have an algorithm. Social media has an algorithm that tries to play into your habits and can psychologically get you to do things that you wouldn't normally be doing.
I don't know, man. You got a big gun, and that bolsters your.
Yes, for sure.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
For sure, but you have to go out and get the gun, and there's no algorithm to get you to do that. I mean, there's advertising, but that's not the same. That's not the same as the AI and the algorithms that these big tech companies have now. I mean, I drove by a server warehouse for Facebook this past week in Texas, and it was the most massive building I've ever seen. So, I mean, it's just nonstop trying to get people to stay on social media and do things that they probably wouldn't normally do.
I still don't know, man. I mean, this whole rhetoric about the Fifth Amendment and the right to bear arms. I mean, that in itself is an advert. It's a tool that's being used to fix people's minds and to convince them that yes, not only is it okay, it's a great thing to have a gun. I'm sure they're still advertising guns with half naked women in bikinis and all that stuff. I'm sure.
No, you'd be surprised. I mean, it's very limited on where you can advertise guns now. Like you don't see gun ads on TV here, and unless you're looking at a hunting magazine, you're not seeing gun advertisements in magazines either. So
from the time it's one of the I don't know, is it called the Fifth Amendment? By the time
Second Amendment, yeah,
Second Amendment. Then yeah, I mean, I guess that's all the advertising you need. I'm not sure you guys even need to advertise it anymore. It's already. But my point is that I guess my point was that the argument is, do guns ruin lives, or do the people who? Well,
the number one thing that gets more guns sold in this country is when they start talking about taking guns away. As soon as the government says we're going to start talking about guns and gun rights and whatever, then people immediately go out and start buying more guns.
This country. I'm sorry. Go ahead, André.
I just asked, why is that? Why? Or is it just like when we had the lockdown, and when we think that there's not going to be any toilet paper, we all run out and buy toilet paper? Is it the same thing? You guys,
I think so.
Start buying guns in case they.
I mean, definitely people do that because people think if they're going to make it illegal to buy guns, then I need to get as many as I can while it's still legal. I mean, there's some people do that, and there definitely are people out there that think the government's going to start going door to door and knocking and saying, "Hey, you need to give us all your guns." It's that the gun thing is not a fair comparison to any other argument in most cases, because it's been so ingrained for so long, and social media is so new, and social media is so new, and it's so.
Social media is new to us. It's not to youngsters, it isn't. Social media is all.
Well, that's all they've ever known. I understand that, but I mean that goes back to that's all they've ever known. Then they're not really learning how to interact with people in real life. I mean, you go back to the pandemic where they're doing everything online, school and everything. I mean, the pandemic's over. The pandemic's over, and people don't know how to interact anymore. Like people are not enjoying going to school and seeing their friends face to face. I mean, I just don't think. On the flip side of the gun thing, I don't think comparing social media to anything else is a very fair comparison, because it's so data and AI driven that it's really hard to make a comparison to anything else that's true apples to apples.
Sorry.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
I would say that because we're so, surrounded by the thought of, what if. You know what I mean? Because we live in a fear-based society. So what if, someone tries to rob me? What if we're attacked by a foreign country? What if, the worst could happen? What if, the birds decided to attack? You know what I mean? I would need a way to protect myself, and what America does, I don't want to say best, but top tier is guns. You know what I mean? But you don't need an AR-15 to go fishing, but because you have the right to, people like to walk around with them. It's a showy thing, and because of that, because of the way the laws are written, people have access to those things because they have the right to. It doesn't necessarily mean that they should have them. You know what I mean? So if I'm able to have access to a tank, not that I would want one, but if it's my right and I'm willing to get one, I would get it. I wouldn't drive to Walmart though. And that's what people do. You know what I mean? So they also got to remember that when you giving everyone these freedoms, you also are giving it to people who aren't as responsible, who aren't as empathetic when it comes to certain situations. And these are usually people who are mentally unstable, who are driven in the wrong direction, and then they do horrible things that, end up becoming a terrorist attack or something like that. And because of so much freedom, and when it comes to things of those nature, we also put ourselves at a disadvantage when it comes to safety.
Very eloquently put.
Yeah, I don't think that America really has as much a gun problem as we have a people problem. I mean, America's number one export is anger and rage. So, I mean,
yeah, because the gun isn't doing it themselves; it's the person.
Yeah, but that's Andre's argument. That's Andre's argument that social media is not doing it. The only issue I have with that argument is that social media is algorithm and AI driven, so it does directly influence people. And
guns don't directly influence people.
if you don't have a gun itself is not what influences you to do that. I mean, the gun is not AI or data driven or whatever I said driven. But it's, I don't know. It's just,
guns don't make commercials about guns. People do.
Right. But everywhere I look now, I see advertisements for Facebook and the metaverse and everything. So, I mean, honestly, I can't tell you the last time I saw an advertisement for a gun because I don't subscribe to hunting magazines and anything like that. I mean,
well, again, if it's in the Second Amendment, I mean, that's a huge advert right there. I mean, it's not even an advert anymore. It's a way of life now. It's part of what you guys do. It's not even an advert anymore. I think it's gone beyond an advert. It's gone beyond it. It's a part of life. It's there as part of what you need to be an American. That's what it appears to be from the outside, anyway.
I can see where it could appear to be that way, but I think in general, it's the loud minority of people in all social issues and political issues in here. The loud minorities are the ones that everybody hears because they're being the loudest. It's those of us that kind of fall more toward the middle that really just kind of get along and don't do a lot. But I am a gun rights person. Like, I think we should be allowed to, but I think it should definitely not be as easy to get guns as we should. How did we get to guns?
that would be Andre. Andre, I think if you actually got a chance to hold one and load it and then shoot it and see a responsible person talk about it, I think you would have a different perspective on it. Because from the outside looking in, anything can be just bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, including social media. From the outside looking in.
Yeah.
For the youngsters who grew up with it, they probably don't see it like that. They don't probably see it.
No, I'm sure they don't see it that way, but I think that it is ruining their relationships before the relationship ever starts because they don't know how to interact in person.
Yeah. See?
Yeah. I mean, all right. So how about this, right? You see videos of women catching guys, scrolling, watching twerk videos or clicking on the girl's profile and sending messages and stuff like that, right? Now, because the guy had access to it, doesn't necessarily mean that it's social media's fault. It was his choice to click on it, and that's social media. The algorithm is going to push that because sex sells. Sex sells along with, liquor and alcohol. I mean, liquor and drugs. You know what I mean? Like, those are the things that people do more than anything else. They're not exactly, pushing business besides, education and things of that nature. So, like I said, it's a tool, unlike anything that's being abused or used in the wrong way. Some people can use it to their advantage. You know what I mean? We use it to our advantage every day when it comes to, pushing our own platforms and things like that. You got other people who use it to, spread fear, gossip, or whatever. But it's all just a tool. You know what I mean? And it could also save lives. There's been situations where, someone could have had an interaction with the police or whatever. They start live streaming and the police reconsidered their actions opposed to them not being, recorded to, however many people were watching or whatever. So it's all about how it's being used.
So about the internet then? Is it a similar question to asking, or is that the same question? Is the internet, or does the internet ruin relationships?
I mean, the internet provides access to all these things. I mean, back in the day, like when YouTube first started, it was the wild, wild west. You can post anything, beheadings, orgies, stuff like that.
You
But
still can
since it's-
post it if you know where to do it at.
We're not talking about the dark
Well,
web.
I understand
or-
that. I'm just the internet itself is not the problem. It's the data collecting companies and the AI that they're imparting into it that's the problem. And again, you don't have that with a lot of other issues. But the internet, all the companies in the internet running kind of the sites and the data collection, that's a problem. That is what really needs some regulation. I mean, we one thing that we're really good at in the US is collecting data, and I'm not sure it's necessarily a good thing.
I mean, come on now. Like I see, I know people who've been in situations like they say like, Facebook ruined my marriage, and I say, how did Facebook ruin your marriage? Stupid girl set me up. Told me she wanted to hook up with me. Said she was very private. Come to find out, it was one of his wife's friends that basically set him up to see if he was going to be loyal or disloyal, and he ended up being disloyal. So he blamed Facebook because he decided to answer, that lady's DM and send her these pictures and make all these promises and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So that was your decision to do that dumbness. Now you're divorced, living in a motel, paying, crazy amounts of alimony because, you decided to be unfaithful instead of just, going into the bathroom like the rest of the married men. Or man cave, whatever,
Shit.
Oh no, man. I mean, that's just me. I hate when people can't have acceptance for their own BS. You know what I mean? Stop blaming everyone else except for the person that actually did it. That does nothing. Then it's like when I brought up earlier about the girl suing a car company because she had an STD. She wasn't having sex with the car. She was having sex with a guy. The guy gave it to her. She just happened to be in the car. You know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous. Literally.
I'm assuming I got through our court then.
Oh no, she won the case.
Oh, she won the case.
Yeah, she won the case.
This is America, man.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Joey, I'm pretty sure you heard about the guy who sued McDonald's because he burned himself because the cup didn't say it was hot.
It was a woman, and we had a months and months, probably over a year ago, we had a lawyer on the show that I do, and we talked about that case, and I used to think that was a frivolous lawsuit, but he explained a lot of the stuff that didn't get released to the public, and that was actually a legitimate court. It's a legitimate case that woman had, because they went into that McDonald's and tested the temperature of that coffee, and it was like 100 or 200 degrees hotter than it should have been to make coffee. But I definitely get the point. I mean, I heard a news story about a guy was up on somebody's roof trying to find a way to break into the house, fell through the roof, fell onto like the kitchen counter, and somebody had left the knife out, and he was stabbed by the knife, sued that family, and won because of negligence or whatever. And that is ridiculous.
Hell.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
What the hell?
And that's why we have guns in the United States. If somebody comes falling through your roof.
So if they had shot the guy, they wouldn't have got sued. Basically, what you're saying?
No, that's true. For sure. If somebody breaks into your house, I mean, in the state that I live in, it's a stand your ground state. And if somebody breaks into your house, you don't have to try to get away first. Like, you can defend yourself. And I'm not saying I agree or disagree with that. It doesn't matter. I'm just, there's a lot of things like that we do have backwards in this country. So anyway, yeah.
You know, no one breaks into your house when you're having a bad week, when you're looking for something to hit. You know, it's always when you're on vacation or, you know, you're having the time of your life, you know, in the middle of sex or something like that, when you're not ready. But when you are ready, it's always a catch-22.
Yeah.
You know, just this past week, I would have loved for somebody to break into my house. I wouldn't have called the police for like 30 minutes, I swear. I would have broke so much stuff over. You just don't understand.
If somebody had broken into my house this week, they would have left quickly because, like I said, our air conditioner was out. It was 90 degrees in my house, so they would have said, "No, this ain't worth it." So
I don't know, man. I think at this point, I'm sorry, Roxanne, were you about to say something?
I was just going to read a couple of comments. Do you want me to do it now?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
Deb St. George, Alexander, sending out love to Big T. She says, that's like blaming another person for ruining your relationship. Ultimately, it's up to you. JG Wise says, it's sad that someone looking in thinks that it's a way of life, that to be an American, you must own a gun. That means a large part of our country is literally seen. I think that could be that to you.
Yeah.
A large part of our country is literally
seen.
All right.
Is that referring to you? Somebody from the outside?
Yeah, I think so. I think it probably is. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's just one of those things along the lines of sex and drugs, like guns. You always hear those three in the same conversation, and that's what America is known for. Besides, like the president falling off a bike, you know what I'm saying? Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, but most people also from the outside looking in don't realize that we have laws like you can't carry a gun into a bar. Like if you have a handgun in public and you're intoxicated, you're breaking the law, and if you get caught, you will not be allowed to own a gun anymore. Like we have laws against it. It's just that people break those laws. So
what about Texas?
If you own a gun and you're intoxicated, what would happen then?
If you're in public with a gun and you're intoxicated, you're breaking the law.
So when you say in public, and if you got it, you mean if you got it on you, not if you got it out of your hand. I'm talking about if you got it in your.
If it's on your person and you are intoxicated, you're breaking the law. Even if you never pull it out, even if no one sees and nothing ever happens, it's against the law.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I agree. It makes perfect sense. Yeah. But if you're at your house and that's different. You're not in public, but you know.
That's crazy. Like if you're in the house, what are you doing holding your gun?
Hey, look,
like,
I know people that wear their gun on them in their house. I think that's ridiculous, but I know people that do that.
So when you say wear them, what does that mean? What they got a holster?
Yeah, a holster, or they have it stuck in their pants, their belt, you know, their whatever, their waist of their pants or whatever. Yeah.
You know what don't get mentioned a lot? The accidental shooting of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to certain gun owners and stuff like that. It's like I happened to recently meet a proctologist, and they say everyone has an excuse when they, you know, get something foreign removed out of their body. We don't normally do this. You know what I mean? So obviously you do. Otherwise, I wouldn't be pulling something out of you that doesn't normally go inside of a body. You know what I mean? And it's just like, obviously that's just a part of your norm. You don't want to explain it to anybody that you don't feel comfortable to. You know what I mean?
Sure.
How about you, Joey?
What? And what about me?
Have you been to the proctologist lately?
No. But after the break we took, I probably need to make an appointment.
No, I was going to say, as far as like, how often do you have your gun in your possession?
No, it's very, very rare. Yeah, very rare. Like I said, when I can't remember if it was before the show started or not, but like when I went on vacation, I stuck it in the console of my car, and then when we got to the house we're staying in, I took it out and stuck it in the nightstand, and I didn't touch it again until we left and we're headed back home. And I stuck it back in the console. When I got home, I put it back in my room, and it's been sitting there ever since.
See, I think that Andre's impression of you is like, he thinks like when you're off camera, you're Yosemite Sam, and you put it on your hip and you go to the store.
No.
And he doesn't get that side of the story. He sees he's putting his impression on you of what America is as a whole.
No, that's just it. That's not the case at all. You know, from what I know of Joey, he seemed to be a pretty level-headed guy. But all that does is shows me just how ingrained guns are, even normal guys. So I know that not everybody with a gun is a gun tooting nutter. It's just that it's almost like going with a bag of crisps. Everybody just has it, and it's just the norm. That's how it appears to me. It's a gun that can kill, but you guys now have it. You know, you don't have to be an extremist. You don't have to be anybody. It's just something that we do. It's just something that we have. Just put it in the glove compartment, take it home, and put it in the nightstand. It's just what it is. The fact that was that gun loaded?
Yes.
See, but you guys are talking about it like it's a bag of biscuits.
Well, like I said, this is a country of just in case, because there's no point of walking around with an unloaded gun unless you got a particular plan behind that. You know what I mean? Because
what's the plan behind it? To murder.
No, it could be to protect yourself.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
No, it's not. The plan. No. I know plenty of people that do carry a gun when they go out in public, unless they're in a bar or they've been drinking. They're very particular about making sure they follow the laws because they want the right to own it. So they don't want to do anything to jeopardize that right. So they don't go out of the house with the intention of using it. They go out of the house with the thought of, if I have to protect myself with this, then I will. But but they also leave the house going, I hope I don't have to take it out.
Of course. Again, I'm not saying that people leave the house looking to shoot somebody.
Well, you said the intention was to murder.
Well, no. Well, the intention is that if somebody, if I have reason to, if somebody steps up to me and I have reason to, my intention is to kill him. that's what it is.
No, it's not. That's not always the intention.
And they walk with a bat there. They walk with a knife.
The intention is to neutralize the situation.
And how do you do that with a gun?
But
how do you do that with a gun?
You can neutralize the situation without killing somebody.
How do you do that? What, shoot in the leg? How do you do that?
Yeah, you can do it that way.
If you're properly trained, you know what to do. Like, okay, if I was in a particular situation, someone broke in my house. Okay, if I see you before you see me, you get a warning. A warning comes with a shot towards you or shot in the air, just to let you know the next one's going in you. Whether that hits your leg or whatever is up to you. But you know, this is what's going to happen if you enter my house with the intention to do harm to me or my loved ones. So of course you would want to, disarm somebody and hopefully get the police in there to get him arrested and get him out of there so he can't do this to anybody again. But if someone's coming at you with a chainsaw and they got their chest exposed, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to think wound. You're going to think stop. You're not thinking, so you're not intentioning, you're not intentionally trying to end someone's life. You're trying to save your life by stopping somebody. So I'm not saying, okay, this is a zombie, I need to shoot him in the head. I'm going to try to stop him. Shoulder below the knee. If that doesn't work and they're on some type of drug and they keep coming at me.
If I had a gun and I'm in my house and someone's coming at me, I'm looking to hit him. And the biggest part is the body. So I don't think this shoulder knee business is real. I don't believe you guys. I don't think you're going to be looking to hit nobody in the knee if they've got a gun. I think if you've got a gun, I know if I've got a gun and someone enters my house, I'm looking to hit him. I'm looking to hit him in the chest. And I think, but that's what you guys will do. And that's just a normal.
Okay. Instinct. All right. So you just said what you put on me and Andre. You said you're looking to hit him in the chest. And when we said that isn't our intention. So how does that make you different from you or us?
I don't have a gun.
But if you did,
that's why we don't have a gun. Of course, if I had a gun, of course, if I had a gun and someone enters my house, of course I'm going to look to stop them. Of course. But that's like saying drugs. Let's legalize drugs. If drugs are legal, who knows what I might be taking by now? I mean, just because it's legal doesn't make it okay. That's what my only point is. That doesn't mean that.
No, it does make it safer though.
I mean, look at
When you
Amsterdam.
talk about drugs,
Let's quickly say this then. You should make it safer, but I didn't bother to say this before when one of you mentioned it. T mentioned it about shooting people who shoot themselves. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but in the UK, we hear that you guys, most of all, you end up shooting someone by accident, a friend or family, more than the likelihood of you shooting someone you know by accident is higher than you actually need it to defend yourself. Is that true?
I haven't seen those numbers, but I do know that a lot of people are injured by their own gun. Now, sometimes that injury is because they have chosen not to use it, and whoever the intruder was wrestled it away from them and shot them with it. And sometimes they accidentally goes off while cleaning it because they're not properly trained and they're cleaning it while it's loaded like an idiot. I mean, but I don't know the numbers that you're talking of, so I'm not going to say it's not true. But I definitely know that people get. But likewise, there's a lot of people that get stabbed with their own knife when they get into a fight because somebody wrestles it away from them and then stabs them with it.
Yeah, that argument comes from irresponsible gun owners opposed to the lower percentage of responsible gun owners. Because unfortunately, because of the way that the laws are set up, an idiot can own a gun. But there are more, more educated people who take, gun safety seriously, who don't get talked about because there aren't no instances, because there are more idiots with access to do idiotic, life-threatening things with a gun. Like there are videos of children taking the lives of their parents because they left their gun out. That's an irresponsible gun owner.
Yeah, so if I had young children in my house, my guns would be locked up. And I don't own a ton of guns. So I mean, I'm not somebody that has, I know people that have 100 or more, but I'm not that person. I'm not that person. Well, I know gun collectors. They have guns that they'll never use, but they collect them because they're valuable. But if I had young kids living in my house, my guns would be locked up for sure. They'd be in a safe, locked up. But at that point, they're no help for protection at that point. But I'm a person that will tell you straight up, the gun I bought recently, I bought because I like guns and I wanted to have a gun. But before I ever bought a gun, though, in my life, I went out and took a class on guns and learned how to shoot a gun before I ever bought one. Is that the majority of people in this country? Probably not, but that's me. And someone like me, someone like T, should be allowed to own a gun.
Can I just read a comment out from Deb St. George Alexander? She says, the way the world is today, you need one. You need a gun, she's saying. I have one near me at all times. My mum made sure we were trained with guns as children.
So I'm guessing she didn't grow up in Croydon.
You're not going to do away with violent crime by doing away with guns. You're just not. I mean,
what happened by making guns legal either.
I understand that, but the statistics will show you that there's less likely to be violent crime in an area where legal gun ownership is prevalent. The statistics will show you that.
I guess statistics will also show you, though, that they'd be less liable to have these guys who go out and massacre 10, 15, 20, 30 people.
They're less likely to do it with a gun. I mean, you look at Charlottesville, a guy ran through a crowd with a car. I mean, people that are crazy enough that want to kill mass numbers of people will find a way to do it. I mean, look at the Unabomber. He built a bomb with fertilizer and home tools. I mean, it's.
Yeah, I think your average geezer, maybe wouldn't.
I think the United States has a mental health problem. That's really what I think the problem is.
I concur on that.
We don't focus on mental health like we should. We don't have free resources for people that can't afford to get help.
I would like to pose an interesting question. Would you rather live in a world with no crime or no privacy?
Oh, Jesus.
No crime or no privacy.
When you say when you say privacy, you mean like anybody
I mean,
can look at
like,
my home on me at any
all
time?
all clothes are invisible. All houses are made out of glass. There's no lock screen for your phones. Everything's out there.
Huh. I think.
Well, I guess. Yeah, well, the answer would be for me the world that we're living in now. So the world with crime, I guess. That just I don't know. That just seems too far beyond for me to comprehend a life with no privacy.
If that,
I don't think we have
if that was the
privacy.
norm, if that was the norm, though.
Yeah, I mean, aside
Well,
from
of course, if it was a norm, then it'd have to be without crime. Then, because if that was a norm and that's all I knew and that's how I grew up, then of course, then
yeah. I mean, like so eventually, you would sacrifice peace for your privacy.
Eventually, I'll sacrifice peace for my privacy. I'm not quite sure. I get that
You said you would take crime over privacy.
Yes, I will take crime over privacy. So at the moment, yes. What do you know? I don't quite understand what you're saying. I know you're trying to make a point.
Yeah. So you said you would rather take crime
and have privacy.
All right, yeah, sure.
And have privacy opposed to a world of peace with no privacy.
Yeah, so at the moment, I'd rather keep things as they are. That's really what I'm saying. That's how things are at the moment, isn't it? We have privacy, but we have crime. So,
and you, Joey?
Interesting. I don't know. It's hard to comprehend.
Right, that's what I just said. It's hard to comprehend.
Yeah, it's hard to comprehend.
Whereas I know exactly what it's like to live in a world of crime, because that's the world we live in right now.
But a world without crime.
Yeah, but what would it be like, a world without privacy? I have no idea what it would be like. Glass houses.
Yeah, but
no more murders.
That's the norm. If that's the norm, you like everybody being able to seeing what you do. That's the norm.
Course, yes, I said.
So
to me, if that was the norm and I didn't know any better, then obviously I'd take the world without crime. But that's not the norm, is it? But yeah, if that was the norm, then of course I'll take the world without crime.
So if it just magically happened, you wouldn't accept it?
If what magically happened?
If you made the choice to be like, okay, I don't want any more crime, but now privacy is eradicated from the planet.
Yeah, exactly. But of course, that'd be very difficult for me to adjust to, because I don't know how to live like that. A life with no privacy. I wouldn't be. Of course, there'd be questions. I wouldn't. I'd probably struggle. I think we'd all struggle.
Yeah.
Whereas to take the easy option is a world without crime, because that's the life we're living now. So really what I'm saying is just keep things as they are, because that's the world I know. As opposed to your idea of a world that I have no idea how to comprehend, a world where there is no privacy for anybody. Everything's transparent. That'd be difficult for me to get my head around.
Yeah, I'm a creature of habit. So if it came out now and Elon Musk said I can push a button and all the crime and war and all that's gone, but your clothes are gone, your houses are now see-through, then I probably stick with the world we've got. But if I've never known a difference, then I'll go with the world without crime.
Of course.
The same way with you, Roxanne? I
think that I would be prepared to give up privacy for a world of no crime, just because I want the world to be a better place, and I live in that. I want to be in that euphoria state, that everything, there's no crime. So yeah.
And that is why Mother's Day is more important than Father's Day.
I've just got a couple of comments. Bobby Whittaker says, I wouldn't have a problem with cameras everywhere. That's a deterrent.
You've got that already.
Deb St. George Alexander says, I don't agree we have privacy. Your picture is taken more time in a day than you realise, and all your information is pretty much open.
She's definitely right on that as well. But I think Big T's talking about taking the privacy to a whole new level, or the lack of privacy to a whole new level. But yeah, very full show.
Yeah, and Deb also says anyone with Alexa is heard regularly.
Yeah. We've had discussions about that already. Yeah, it's listening all the time.
Yeah.
Recording all the time, but yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Anyone use Alexa?
Yes, I do.
yeah. I got Alexa. She's running my life, so to speak. But it is what it is. I think that to end that particular conversation, even though we got way off topic, I don't think social media is ruining relationships. I think the people involved in the relationships have all the power over whether it's successful or not. I also want to say that I forgot to mention that in the beginning of the show that Easy wasn't able to make it today, but when he's feeling better, he'll be able to join us next time. So, get well soon, Easy, and we're going to sign off. What are your thoughts? Final words, Joey?
Yeah, I enjoy the conversations. Glad to be back after 4 weeks away. And as far as I know, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Thanks everyone for watching. I think that social media ruins relationships, but there's got to be some personal accountability.
There you go. And you, Andre, final thoughts?
I think that that fathers are the unsung heroes. I think that we really do need to celebrate Father's Day a little bit more than we do. I think social media. No, I don't think it ruins lives. I think if there wasn't social media, those guys that do whatever it is that they shouldn't be doing on social media would be doing it by some other means. And like Joey said, it's been a while. It's great to be back. It's great to get together with you guys for something on the weekend, and look forward to the next session.
Roxanne.
I just want to say that these shows every week, when we do them, we ask questions that I think, wow, can we make a show out of this? And we do every single week. It's amazing. I enjoyed it, as per usual.
Great stuff.
And I agree with Roxanne. Felt a little nervous hosting today, as you can see from my stumbles, but I also been drinking, so don't mind me on that.
Same.
I also believe that Father's Day may be up there when it comes to titles, but when it comes to putting pressure behind it, Mother's Day still reigns supreme. And like I said earlier, social media is a tool. How you use that tool will define how it affects your life. And with that being said, I want to give a big shout out to Joey, Andre, Roxanne, and Anthony B behind the scenes, and you guys in the audience who makes the fifth host. I am Big T, and we'll see you in the next 2 weeks for something for the weekend. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, good show.
Give us a thumbs up on Facebook at B3F Podcast. Follow us on Twitter and Twitch at B3F Podcast, and on Instagram at B3F_podcast. YouTube has all of our videos. Support us on Patreon or buy me a coffee at B3F Podcast. Send all your questions or comments to admin at B3FPodcast.com. Find us online at B3FPodcast.com. Rate us and review us wherever you listen. And as always, thanks for listening.